I never get used to talking to this phone. And I don't make a lot of videos that are just me talking directly to the camera. Although I did make quite a few shorts like this in the past. Look, I'm just going to talk today. I know I make spiritual videos. I make videos about epistemology. I don't know if I'm censored here or not. Uh, so, just going to talk a little bit about what is going on with me personally. Been deciding what I want to do. I've been spending the last year or two, maybe three, just in like a process of reinvention, a process of figuring out what I want to do while I'm on earth in this body. And I've tried a few different things. I got really motivated about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and started coding, taught myself a couple languages, and realized that I wasn't really enjoying that process. Even though I enjoy learning stuff. So sometimes it's hard for me to figure out if I really enjoy like something for that thing itself, or if I just like learning about that thing. And for me, it was I liked learning about that, and I liked learning about something. So really, what it was with coding was I just like learning stuff. Now, something I do like to learn actually, and I like for itself is languages. And I do speak Spanish, and I am learning Japanese as well. So I'm working on my third language. So I guess if I wasn't making spiritual videos, I would be doing that. And I'll probably still like do something with those languages someday. I'll probably go and teach Japanese or not Japanese, teach English in Japan. That's something I'm kind of interested in doing. But my life the past 3 years has been about trying to figure out if I should be surrendering to life or if I should be taking life by the horns. You know, the real like hero's journey, climb Mount Everest type of grind set. And really, I've been doing both. And the reason I've been doing both, I used to just be like the grind set kind of type of mindset. You know, I grew up, I'm 32 now. I grew up and I was fed a story about what life was by society, by family, by the church a long time ago, whatever. You know, you start to build a sort of a rough map of what you're supposed to be doing here in your existence. And those are some of the things that I would go after, like achieving the American dream, maybe getting married or something one day, that, you know, the typical stuff. But a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I'm sorry, no, it's been almost 2 years. So maybe like a year and 3 quarters, I got into spirituality and I heard about enlightenment for the first time in my life. And I had grown up Christian, and then I was atheist in like my teens and early and mid 20s. And then I discovered spirituality in my late 20s, almost 30. And I had already had a lot of ideas about like, oh well, you know, God probably doesn't exist, and I have no experience of God. And of course, my ideas of God were what Christianity taught me about God. So when I first heard about enlightenment on YouTube from other people, I I was interested because it seemed like, oh, so what they're actually discussing when they talk about enlightenment is like, oh, I can just go check myself to see if God exists. I can check myself to see what existence is. And what existence is and like what the truth of reality is, why I exist. This is like a question that I've been curious about my whole life, ever since I was a kid, which is why I struggled so much and was so rebellious when it came to religion when I was a kid. I had some strong opinions. um, but if I fast forward a little bit, I did attain enlightenment. I had multiple enlightenment experiences, and those experiences in some way have actually scarred me because here I went. being forced at first to believe in a thing called God, and then me just saying, excuse me, and then me just saying, no, no, there's no God. It's just this, science and the Big Bang and evolution, and here we are. I kind of went that route for a while, but I didn't find that to be satisfying either. And then I ended up learning about this concept of infinity as a concept. And that really like busted the doors of truth back open to me. And then like the game was back on again. I felt like a kid again. It's like, I'm going to figure out what this right here is, what existence is. And so I'm one of the few people on earth, which sounds kind of cocky to say, but it would be a lie if I didn't say that. I'm one of the few people on earth that knows what it is, what reality is, what existence is, what I am, what you are. In this discovery, finding this out scarred me. And honestly, I wasn't right for quite a few months. While the discovery is quite like awe-inspiring, amazing, unbelievable, just, for the people that have doubts about enlightenment, there is no belief. The moment of enlightenment just crushes all your beliefs. Something completely unbelievable, yet also very terrifying and kind of sad. It's got like a melancholy, depressive element to it. And if you've been watching some of my videos, then in some of my videos I explicitly say it. In other ones, I'm trying to help you have the realization yourself if you want to have that realization. Be careful what you ask for. Because finding out what life is, what reality is, what existence is, and whether or not, because you don't know yet, so whether or not God exists or not, and what it is, if you do discover that, to find out like what this thing called God is, all of this is very traumatizing. So for a few months, I even got to a point where I just wanted to, but I also couldn't do it because, well, one, I wasn't gonna do it, but I had some very strong feelings. But at the same time, because of what I discovered, I knew that doing that would not actually stop anything. And that's probably going to sound crazy for anybody that hasn't had the experience, which is 99% of the population. The people that have gone this far, the numbers are very, very low. I think it's like 0. I don't know how many zeros, like 5 or 6 zeros, 0.000000125% or something like that. Like 10,000 people per 8 billion or something like that. And it just sent me into, it's like in one sense I craved an even deeper understanding of this truth. I craved more direct, unbiased sort of like recognition of it, like more experiences of it, while also being obviously deeply terrified to have the full experiences again, which I eventually did have more. It just makes you wonder. So I'm just go ahead and say it. Ultimately, what you end up finding out, and this is why the enlightenment path is sort of counterintuitive and kind of be careful what you ask for type of thing, is that life is ultimately meaningless and in the ultimate level. And that's how, see, I don't want to make this in too much of a spiritual teaching video, even though that's what I do. But since the ultimate thing is completely meaningless, this allows what we call meaning in our everyday experience to come to exist. The ultimate truth, absolute truth, comes with it necessarily ultimate sort of meaninglessness, and what's the word I want to use? Like it's like a humble spirit, an unconditional, loving spirit that's it's like so loving. It loves the love goes. It's so expansive. It's so vast. It's so infinite that it means nothing. Like it's really trippy. It's really trippy when you discover absolute truth. You don't really know what to do with it, and you don't believe it anyway. You don't believe it, but it's true, and I can't explain truth to you. You have to discover truth directly for you to understand what truth is. Because when I say, "Oh, it's absolutely true," you as the viewer, and as you should be like, "What? Absolute truth? Oh, another nutcase." Exactly. Until you have had the experience, you won't understand what truth is. But like I said, you may not want to understand what truth is. Why is the dog barking? As I was saying, absolute truth. There's so much. It's like it's impossible for me to explain absolute truth with words. Everybody knows this. Anybody who's discovered it knows this. But we all get on YouTube and try to do it anyway. We're obviously inspired enough to try to get people to go and experience it for themselves because it's what you are. Absolute truth is you discovering why you're here, who you are. Why are you a human? Why are you made out of meat? Why are you on a rock floating through a thing called outer space? And why do you assume that you know any of this stuff? That's what we're talking about. The answer to this stuff. Um, Back to me for a second. So discovering absolute truth destabilized me in more ways than one. And what I believe it is, if I want to be a little poetic, it's sort of like a deep cleansing process. In a sense, it's like a spiritual cleansing. Like if you go this far in expanding your consciousness, it actually ends up being very difficult. And I can't even really explain how mentally and emotionally difficult it is. It makes you face all a deep spiritual awakening will make you face all of your emotional problems and stuff. So it's like a therapy nuclear bomb. That's what spiritual awakening is. It's I got to stop saying that's what it is because it's more than the things that I say it is. That's what we mean by you can't explain it with words. But I still have a lot of old traditional desires. A lot of it was taught to me just like it was taught to you probably. You grew up and they told you to go to school and then go to school some more and then get a job and then save money and work hard. Um, don't cause trouble. Don't hurt people. All the kind of normal moralistic and sort of story based plans and ideas that people had for us. We happen to be born in a very like success oriented time as well. So a lot of us have like success sickness because on the one hand we were sold that we were supposed to be achieving success in this lifetime, that maybe we were supposed to be saving the world and contributing to it. But if you look closely, all the stuff that we're occupied with on earth in this existence, whatever it is, right? Until you have your awakening to know what it is, it's kind of weird to be doing that, to be doing anything without first figuring out what you are. It's almost as if I think people are assuming that science is going to like be in the background discovering what existence is for us, and then everybody else is supposed to just be sustaining life until they figure it out. I got bad news. I appreciate that science maybe is kind of sort of trying to do that, but they're completely off track. They're completely off track because they have too many science. Their processes are not honest and they exclude too much stuff to understand what absolute truth is about reality. So they're actually so far off that if I were to go talk to them and tell them what to do to understand what reality is, they would call me crazy, and then they would make me like just like they just like we do with spiritual teachers over eons. They make that person seem crazy and heretical and all that, and then that person gets laughed at until like a few thousand years later, and then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it looks like he was right the whole time." So silly, so silly. We do this. We haven't learned our lesson on that yet. But yeah, science is so far off. They're not in the background figuring out what existence is. You are existence. Have you checked? Look around you. Does t-shirts exist? Does your t-shirt exist? Okay. Do you exist? You're both existence. Just check. You can check empirically. You can check in your direct experience. That's how you discover what's true. You can't discover what's true by doing experiments with objects that exist to find an answer outside of the thing called existence. If you want to know what existence is, check. You're already doing it. You're already the thing you're looking for. And this is why they're off. This is why they're too far off. Because science doesn't consider what we call spirituality to be genuine science. This is a huge problem for them. I don't know. It's going to require that a bunch of scientists die and new generations of scientists come up. That's the only way it's going to change. Humans are sort of naturally stubborn. So this is just the way, this is the only way we really progress is it would be a tragedy. We wouldn't make it. Humans, we would have gone extinct a long time ago if it weren't for death. If we couldn't die, we would have gone extinct because we're too stubborn. We're too stubborn to like invite new ideas. Right? Look how long modern dating has it has changed a little bit, but it's been like monogamy and before that probably tribal. What would you call it? I can't say certain words. It was probably a lot more uncultured at one point, but it's like we haven't really figured out that too much well as to like what's the best way to date. Currently, we got like Gen Z who's completely flipping the script as they should. Like I said, it takes new generations to change things. They're not buying into stuff that they're told at face value. Millennials, I'm a millennial. We were kind of in that in between phase, so we can like we can follow the rules and we can think for ourselves. And right now, we're also leaning towards that direction as well. I think millennials are a very important generation because we have like the best of both worlds. Um, so, well, yeah. So science is not in the background figuring out what existence is. Yet everybody's running around doing stuff, and I'm not telling people or you what you have to do with your life. I'm just saying that you haven't been given a fair shake at even figuring out what life is. That should have been like the first thing. But of course, once you're born into a world as a child and nobody's focused on that type of thing, what do? You come in and you're just instantly told what everything is. The whole world's been labeled already. These are butterflies. This is a house. The reason you're not floating is because this is gravity. You're on a big rock called Earth, even though you've never seen the Earth except from a picture. Um, Basically, like 99% of your whole life is just hearsay. It's all hearsay. You don't even know if other states exist. You haven't gone to check. But that's a lesson for a different day. About this is what empiricism is about. It's about, well, what have you checked and what can you verify? What can't you verify? What can be known? And who's in charge of saying what knowing is? And who's in charge of deciding whether knowing is sufficient to getting at what's true? We don't know that knowing can get to truth. We just assume that it can, which is ironic considering that most people have not gotten to truth. But I'm all over the place. I said I was just going to talk. So, yeah, just been trying to decide really what to do. Like, wow, should I help awaken the world? Should I go teach uh, teach Japanese or English or Spanish? Should I go dance? Right, I have other interests as well. Should I start a fishing YouTube channel? Been trying to figure out like Like I can talk about the truth on this channel, but it's not going to be as popular. I'm not going to get as many views as somebody else who's talking about dating drama. Um, right? I see like I'm gay, and I see other YouTubers that are gay on their YouTube channels, and they got their thumbnails set up, and it's just all like really like ratchet, clickbaity, sort of low consciousness content. And I know this. One of the things about reaching higher consciousness is that you understand and come to love things that are lower consciousness as well, because it's like, I mean, I definitely get why people love that stuff. That's like their whole life. They just want to date, they want to date the people they want to date. They want better outcomes for their life. And then somebody like me comes along and talks about, hey, by the way, you can also discover absolute truth, and I can keep you from getting lost in fantasies and beliefs and stuff until you do so. But then it's like, who cares about truth? who I can't curse. Who cares about truth? You mention that you know the truth, and people instantly are turned off by it. It's tricky. It's tricky being in this position. I guess I can only hope that somebody out there will be helped. But also, if you're pursuing spirituality, I have to warn you that if you get to the ultimate levels, you don't know what it is that you're after. I had a quote after my deepest awakening that I've ever had. After it took me about an hour just to like be able to talk again. And so when thinking came back for me, I was just like, well, man, all the people out there meditating on the planet, if they knew what they were trying to get to in their meditation, they might not be trying to get there. Now, this is not across the board, and I'm not trying to make awakening seem like this bad thing. But if you think life is one way, and then you suddenly get hit with truth all at once, there's like that can come with disappointment. Because even people that don't believe in God or believe in like different religious beliefs and whatever, we still like have some like high ideals of like what we hope is going on in life. So yeah, sometimes I still want, you know, to date and stuff. I still have like that primal, there's like a primal need to it, and then there's also like a old old programming still operating in my brain where it's like, oh, do I want to date? And most of the time it's like I definitely feel like I want to a lot of times. And I have been like engaged, not so much in the last like 6 or 7 months, but right before that, I was going on dates. I was talking to people, getting on Zoom call, not Zoom calls, FaceTime, FaceTime, and chatting it up, and I felt like I was getting close a couple times, and I don't know. So sometimes I just lose interest, or because I need like some emotional engagement, um, and I need like plans to be made, and like there has to be an understanding that we're trying to actually do something. You get tired of just sex. And a lot of people out there right now I in some sense I feel bad because it's like, wow, what a time to be alive. If you really just wanted to go out there in the world and just really enjoy sex as one of the experiences of existence, you could really do that in this time period. So I guess if you're one of those people and you haven't, maybe if you haven't experienced a whole bunch of it yet, this is like probably the greatest time to do it. Especially if you, especially if you're gay, you can just you can literally download an app and be having it in an hour or less. It's crazy. So many good looking guys out there, and but almost nobody dateable for a lot of reasons. I've been studying, I do a lot of studying so that I can bring good content, educational content as well, so I can help grow consciousness. Hopefully, even if you're not into me for spirituality, I can give you new ideas because I'm a very complex, sort of like systems like thinker. So I've been trying to expand my own understanding of systems. So I've been looking into that, and systems are interesting. They create their own behaviors. They can become we see self-organize. They can be self-organizing. We see self-organizing systems come up a lot. Um, there's just in what reality is. So like even something like dating is just like one system, but that's made up of a bunch of systems. So you have like dating as a system, and then like gay dating is like a subsystem. And then if we take that apart, you got like uh, the emotional upbringing of each individual person in the dating pool, and then you have this emergent behavior of modern dating apps. So modern dating apps, that's like a system technology, and then this emergent behavior called hookup culture, which is like a behavior that's a natural consequence of the way of the online dating. It's like that's going to pop up anyway, just because you know if just a few of the people in the pool want to just have sex, well, that's now an option. Now you can now have that. So and then it starts to get popular, and then people realize like, oh well, in the meantime, while I'm trying to date, I can go and have sex. So that's like one system. Then you have the larger system of the country in which the dating is taking place, the politics around that, what the kind of government is running that country. That's a system. Um, you have like individual educational levels. We could talk about cognitive development and evolution. We literally have if you another thing I study is spiral dynamics, which is a model for human development. We have a stage red, which I don't have time to explain all the colors, but we have a stage red US president, and we have a country that's two whole steps more advanced than the president himself. So sometimes just simple little things like that, I wake up and think like, this is crazy. I can't believe the times we're living in. This is bizarre. In some spiritual books, even though I don't need the spiritual books to know what absolute truth is anymore, I still use them in order to reach people in a more conversational way like this, and communication, to say like, okay, well, what stuff do people resonate with? So complex systems. So dating is actually so complex that even if we started to come up with solutions for it, whether it's straight dating, whether you like women, men, whatever, it doesn't matter. All of it's very complicated. I mean, you can't. It's like 3D chess. You can't just move in like a 2D plane, like move a pawn forward and hoping that it's going to radically change dating. Many steps would have to be made to change it. The problem with systems, excuse me, the problem with systems is that anytime you move a piece, you start creating new problems, perhaps new behaviors. The system starts to have new behaviors. I don't know if I have any good examples. I don't know what would happen. I can just make up an example. Like let's say we ban dating apps. Okay, well, what might happen? Okay, like, oh yeah, that might increase people talking to each other in person more, but it might decrease access enough to people who would otherwise be committing crimes, but they're not because they have access to sex all the time as their outlet. Well, now that we've cut that off, they could create new problems, just as like one example. And I'm very aware that all of reality works this way. If you move any piece, you've moved the entire universe. That's something you'll also realize, because it's all one thing. Reality seems like it's me and you, this tripod, your phone screen, everything in your awareness, all the objects, your thinking, your sight, your five senses, the parts of your body, everything seems like it's this independent thing. And a lot of times we even allow to think like, oh, it's a bunch of systems working together. No, it's actually worse than that. It's actually just one giant thing. It's too much to even say it's a system. It's literally just one living thing, one living imaginary thing, which may as well be real because there's only imagination. That's the consequence of it. Very trippy. Like I said, there's a million things I could dive into on that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time, trying to build this channel, trying to figure out. It's ironic. It's like I want to make a lot more money, but that's only because I have a lot of projects in mind. I have like, oh my goodness, I have aspirations to like start communities to help kids and especially like young men like start off life better to where they can understand what absolute truth is from an earlier age so they don't have to go 20, 30 years living and believing in a lie of what they are and where they came from, only to then discover spirituality and then have to undo it and be a horrible, emotionally grueling process. I have aspirations to do that. I love fishing and like aquaculture. I have like aspirations to like have fish farms and like feed people. I have aspirations to um, donate to research to help people with mental disorders like schizophrenia, even things like cancer, things that we're having trouble curing that people suffer from in their individual experience here in existence. It's like, okay, well, can we make existence better for them? What other aspirations? I have like normal aspirations of just like becoming like a good dancer, for example, and maybe just entertaining a bit. I can do that without money, but I have so many different ideas, so much passion, and so little time to do it all. At least so little time to do it all while I am incarnated as this guy sitting here. I was gonna make a video about how reality is a free for all. I may still make that video, and it, like I said, you just become conscious of it's what it is you become conscious of just truth, and then when you become conscious of the truth, and your consciousness sort of redescends back down to like somewhat normal human levels, uh, after an awakening, the consequences of you not now understanding a lot better is you realize that wow, it's really just a free for all, because you are God. Like the person watching the video, like that's just a body sitting there. The body's not you. That's just something you're imagining. You're imagining like the experience of life. You're really the awareness of it all. You are me. I'm just another body, and it's so trippy. You'll understand the laugh once you have an awakening. It gets even when you talk yourself, you'll just laugh in the middle of your own sentences as you understand that you're literally explaining something impossible to literally yourself. So, see, I would have been killed in different time periods. The awareness and the direct consciousness of God that I have now is would not be accepted. Discovering truth is not tolerated in any other time period prior to this one, or even in this time period in different areas. Like in the Middle East. If you don't resort to belief in Allah or something like that, then they'll kill you. Can't be running around talking about absolute truth. Can't be running around telling people that they can discover it for themselves. And you sure as hell can't be running around telling people that they are God, which is the truth. Which is the truth. So, I have to. I like to go into like teacher mode a lot, so I just want to kind of sit here and relax and talk in this video. And I guess talking on this channel, I guess I'll warm up more and more over time as well. But I guess that's all I really got to talk about. You are God. Stay tuned. I did. I know I mentioned I had a self inquiry guided meditation coming out. That is coming out within the next 2 or 3 days. I did finish recording it. This one will actually be a driving inquiry. So you actually be able to just listen to this inquiry in the background while you are driving to wherever you're going to go, or if you just want to go on a random drive through the city when the city is quiet and peaceful and not a lot of traffic, you'll be able to do that. I did that about a week ago. I didn't use my own inquiry, but that's where I actually got the idea to do it. And my consciousness was very high on this drive. And after you have some awakenings, you'll experience fluctuations, or what seem to be fluctuations in your consciousness throughout your life. And I can like, I basically just get to a point where I don't know anything, and not knowing is a sort of a tenet or a technique, or I don't know what to call it. If you can get to a place of not knowing, you open yourself up to like big insights about life. So really just take some time out of your day when you're meditating. And one of the things you want to do when you're meditating is just get to a point where you just don't know. Just admit out loud that you don't know what's going on. And this is how you get there. Listening to the stuff I'm saying and then carrying that into like your meditation and your spirituality can really be detrimental. Because you hear me say you're God, and you hear me say, talking about absolute truth or whatever else you've heard me or Alan Watts or Rupert Spira or somebody say. And then you go, and then your mind likes to think about that stuff. But the stuff that your mind is thinking up is not what I'm actually talking about. So really, the work of like somebody like me is really just to motivate and inspire you to just sit down and not know, because then the insights can come in. I haven't talked that much about psychedelics. Those are obviously very important, but they're critical. They're critical, but I'm being careful on that side, because you got to take care of yourself. Don't take anything I'm saying and go and hurt yourself. This isn't a rave. We're not talking about raving and then like listening to cool music while you're eating magic mushrooms or something like that. That's not what this is. But the area of psychedelics is one of the most powerful. At this point, the longer I go in spirituality, the more I realize that, especially in like a country like the United States, there's just no conceivable way that people are going to be able to get like the deepest understandings without them. This, of course, being if you want the really deep understandings. You can also get sort of intermediate understanding and then just live a beautiful life as whatever you decided to incarnate into right now. You don't have to go and discover absolute truth. You are the truth anyway. There's nothing to worry about. It wouldn't do you any good to worry anyway. So hopefully, I hope one of my messages I want to be coming through in my talks is that you really don't want to be worried about things. So like you can literally just drop your stress today. Like if you trust me, you can literally just drop your stress and lean into the assurance that it's beyond you anyway. It's truly beyond you. But it doesn't mean that you can't do things. You can still put your best foot forward to change the world in the way that you want it to be. If you want there to be more strip clubs in the world, by all means. If you want there to be a cure for cancer, go after that. If you think the world needs some gadgets you're working on building, or the world needs to see your art, by all means, do it. It's you can do that. It's infinite consciousness. So, there's the full gambit of things that could be done within the greater scheme. So you can do a more limited amount of things, but there's no ultimate worry about what you choose or don't choose. Really, all the worry is your own. There's no deeper cosmic purpose for your work. It's pre-cosmic. Your work is already divine because you are deity. You are divinity now. The ultimate purpose is already complete. The divinity is already complete. God has already been located. I'm looking at him. um, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna end the video here. I don't know how long the video's gotten. I may do some more like this, but stay tuned for the audio, the driving inquiry coming out. If you are struggling to get deep in inquiry, this will be something you can just add to your toolkit. I sort of walk you through awareness, just like becoming aware, letting go, not knowing, and really opening your mind to more and more, uh, just more and more open-mindedness, more possibilities, higher possibilities. So that way you can grow your consciousness a little bit that way. And you can do it without having like an official guru. So with that being said, thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the driving inquiry. Stay tuned for other videos I have coming out, different lessons. I think I'm going to be doing some parody videos soon. I have a few ideas on that. I'm actually working on something else that's very special that I'm excited to get back to because I put it on the back burner to do the inquiry because I figured that would be more helpful to you. But now that I'm just finishing that up, I can finally get that cracking again. So with that being said, if you guys want to hear some other topics and my takes on it, how do I apply the larger context of ultimate truth to relative things that we experience, and other things that I study, like systems thinking, whatever, then let me know. Like the video, subscribe, all that stuff. Got to build this thing. This channel is going to be very important to people that are suffering, I think, long after I'm gone. And I hope if it does nothing else, it can encourage people that are truly suffering in their experience of life. Maybe your life isn't that bad, but in their experience, they might be able to benefit from hearing the truth from somebody who's not hiding it from them, who has I have no other goal other than for them to realize that they are God and that they will be okay. And that they are actually God, not as a belief, not as a theory that I have, but literally as something they can go and verify for themselves. I hope to increase the access to psychedelics for people who need them and otherwise, for people to pursue their spirituality solo or as a family. Oh, I have many more aspirations. But I'm going to stop there. Thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.